Once the enemy realized their desecration of this sacred place, nothing would stop the overlords from hunting them down. Solomon twisted the spear between his palms, glancing at his fellow rebels. Should one of them check on Jasmine and the other leaders? What if there had been more guards within, or one of the Alfur? But no, if that were true, they would all be dead by now, incinerated by the creature's Manas reader. So what, then, was keeping them? Thump! The silence shattered as the door to the outside was thrust open. Solomon flinched, raising his spear, but it was only his sister. His heart immediately began to pound anew. She had been stationed in the streets outside with a few of the others, watching for signs of trouble. If she were here— "Someone's coming," she hissed, ducking inside. Solomon cursed beneath his breath. He'd wanted her outside, where she could run if the worst came to pass, but it was too late to tell her to go back now. Another of the rebels had already tossed her a spear, and biting his lip, Solomon fixed his eyes on the door. It had to be the new guards, come early to relieve their fellow traitors. Afraid his shaking hands would betray his fear, Solomon lowered his spear a fraction, as though readying himself for battle. If it was only the guards, that much they could handle. But if it was the Alfur that approached, with their terrible eyes, the awful power of their Manas readers— His thoughts were interrupted as the soft click of a door opening came from behind. Momentarily distracted from the commotion outside, Solomon spun. His heart soared as Jasmine emerged from the inner complex of the temple. She lived. If she had discovered the secret within, the hidden weapon of the Alfur, then what did it matter if they were discovered now? Such was his excitement, it was a moment before Solomon noticed the blood on her shirt. He frowned as the rebel leader continued towards them, glancing at the door beyond her, but no one else emerged from within. Where were the others? The leaders that had accompanied Jasmine? They'd heard no signs of battle. "Jasmine!" Another of the rebels called to her, glancing over his shoulder. "The enemy are outside. Did you get it? Did you get the weapon?" The rebel leader stumbled to a stop. Solomon shivered as he saw her face. The color had drained from her golden skin and her eyes. Her eyes stared at some point beyond them, as though she did not see her fellow rebels. So close now, he could see the way the blood on her clothes glinted in the light of their own Manas readers. She was drenched in the stuff. It dripped from the short sword she gripped in one hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Jasmine," Solomon managed to speak, though a lump had lodged in his throat. What had happened inside the temple? "Jasmine, where are the others?" The rebel leader blinked at his voice, and her sapphire eyes turned on him. "We were wrong, Solomon," she whispered. Then her eyes slid closed, and she shook her head. "So very wrong." Solomon's heart stilled at her words, but swallowing, he nodded, then turned to face the entrance to the temple. As he focused on the doorway, he realized he could hear sounds from without, the pounding of boots on the bricked street. His gut tied itself into a knot. There were far more outside than just a change of guard. The resistance had been discovered. Around the room, the rebels tensed, clutching weapons close as they prepared themselves for battle. If it was only human soldiers that came for them, they might still stand a chance, might be able to fight their way out, to disappear into the night. They could regroup later, discuss what Jasmine had discovered. First, though, they had to— Solomon gasped as pain erupted through his stomach. He staggered, the spear slipping from suddenly limp fingers. He hardly heard the clanging as it struck the floor. His eyes were fixed on the steel blade, somehow protruding from his chest, his blood staining its point red. The pain redoubled, exploding to red-hot agony as the sword was torn from him. A moan whispered from Solomon's throat as he tried to speak, to warn his companions, but instead he found blood.